Alrighty, well, hello sinners, how are you? So a few weeks ago, I discussed the controversy surrounding the trailer and the movie poster for Cuties, and if you don't know much about Cuties, it is a French film that premiered at the Sundance Film Festival earlier this year, and it was brought over to Netflix about a week and a half ago. I will leave a card somewhere on the screen, as well as a link down below to my previous video about Cuties, just in case if you need a refresher on what's been going on. I finally sat down and watched Cuties yesterday, and I'll be honest, I was avoiding it for the past week or so, partially because I went back to school about a week and a half ago, so I haven't really had time, but also just because I knew I wasn't going to be mentally prepared for what I was going to see on my screen. But after sitting down and finally watching Cuties yesterday, I would say that the backlash that the film's received is completely justified. Like, there's no exaggeration. Cuties was just as bad as the internet expected it to be. A huge part of me feels really dumb because I gave the director the benefit of the doubt because I didn't want to believe that the film was going to be as exploitative as it was, but spoiler alert, it was. However, with that being said, let's get into why Cuties was so unsettling to watch and how Netflix is basically selling child. So, what is Cuties about, or I guess intended to be about? Well, according to the Netflix description, 11-year-old Amy starts to rebel against her conservative family's traditions when she becomes fascinated with the free-spirited dance crew. After watching the film, I don't know if free-spirited is the word I would use to describe this dance crew, but, it's a word. I'll agree on that. The film's premise is to show the contrast between Amy's very strict and religious household to how young girls are conditioned to be hypersexual on social media before they can know or understand the consequences of what they're doing. What's interesting, though, is that if you look right above the description on Netflix, you would see that Cuties is rated MA, or for mature audiences. And according to Google, content that is rated MA, or for mature audiences, is considered disturbing for viewers under 17. Considering the fact that the actress who plays the main character is 14 in real life, and the other young actresses also fall around the same age range, they can't even watch their own movie. It just goes to show how this movie featuring children is so sexual. And I can't believe I'm putting that in the same sentence. At the beginning of the film, we get a glimpse of Amy and her very religious background. Like the description mentioned, Amy and her family are practicing Senegalese Muslims. She lives with her very strict mother, Mariam, her great auntie, and her two younger brothers. Amy's father is still in Senegal at this point, and the family is waiting for him to come to France. In the first few minutes of Cuties, Amy and her mother are attending a prayer group in their building, and the main speaker there is reinforcing how important it is for women to submit to their husbands and practice modesty. However, after the meeting, Amy peeks into the laundry room on the same floor and sees this girl around her age dressed in tight clothing and dancing very suggestively to a Spanish reggaeton song. There's also a shot of this young girl straightening her hair with an iron, which Amy eventually tries to do herself in her apartment. But Amy is very intrigued by this young girl's lifestyle and learns the next day at school that this same young girl is a part of the Cuties dance team, hence the title of this film. While observing the Cuties from afar, she sees that they wear very revealing clothing, use raunchy language, and perform very suggestive dance routines. She becomes very fascinated with them since their lifestyle is completely opposite of the religious household she was raised in. As the film goes on, we learn that the Cuties plan to audition for a dance competition, and Amy really wants to perform with them. Eventually, Amy's curiosity leads her to being initiated into the Cuties dance team. But with that being said, let's discuss how the director did not accomplish what she set out to do. Like I mentioned earlier, the film is supposedly a cautionary tale of what happens when young girls get hypersexualized on social media. The director wanted Cuties to be a wake-up call for the audience on how normalized child exploitation is, when in reality, this film plays right into that. My main gripe with Cuties, as with a lot of other people, is that she used young girls all under the age of 15 to dress and perform in a very sexual manner to get her point across. She set up these young actresses to be sexualized by the media and by the audience, when that is exactly what this film is supposed to be condemning and what exactly she is criticizing about society. That's a little hypocritical if you ask me. For example, throughout the film, these girls are dressed in the skimpiest clothes you can imagine. I mean, crop tops, booty shorts, short skirts, you name it, they wore it. Besides the religious garments Amy wore for only a couple minutes throughout the film, the only appropriate outfit I saw her wear was at the very end of the film. Besides that, I don't know what the the writers were on while making Cuties, but there were so many disgusting sexual scenes throughout the film, and most of them involved children. I was so uncomfortable at certain points while I was watching yesterday that I had to step away from my laptop for a few minutes so I can mentally recover. There were actually a few times where I audibly yelled, "What the f*** at my laptop screen," because I was so horrified by what I saw. First of all, these girls had some of the filthiest potty mouths. And listen, I get it, I wasn't born yesterday. I'm sure most of us made very dirty and raunchy jokes in middle school to seem cool and edgy, but some of the things that these writers had the girls saying were so highly disturbing to listen to, and I don't know who thought this was a good idea to write into the script. In an early scene, Amy walks into the bathroom and overhears the Cuties talking about and peeing in people's mouths. One girl even said,
"I've seen my brothers, it's not that bad."
Who thought that was a good idea to include? I would just like to know. About a minute later into the scene, the girls tell Amy to take a video of their crush peeing at a urinal in the boys' room, and since Amy was trying to impress them because she wanted to join the Cuties, she did it. It was really disgusting to watch. Trust me when I say that it only gets worse from here. A little bit later in the film, Amy is trying to convince Angelica, who was the young girl we met in the laundry room at the very beginning, to let her join the Cuties dance team. To prove her skill level to Angelica, Amy performs a dance routine she saw at a previous Cuties rehearsal. And at one point, she's literally twerking on the ground in all fours. Right after this scene, Amy was initiated into the Cuties, and now she's teaching the girls how to twerk. For some reason, the cameraman is zooming in on these girls' hips and their butts as they're shaking and twerking up a storm. And while this is happening, the girls are slapping each other's butts and cheering each other on as they're learning how to twerk. This scene was about 2 to 3 minutes long, and in my personal opinion, it was 2 to 3 minutes too long. And in case if you're wondering, watching a group of 11-year-old girls twerking for several minutes was one of the worst things I've ever seen. 0 out of 10, would not recommend. But not only were these girls twerking for the camera, with the camera zooming in on their lower regions several times, these girls also had to twerk for 2 older men. In one scene, the Cuties accidentally walk into a laser tag arena through the service door and they get caught by security. The security guards drag them out of the arena and threaten to call their parents because they didn't pay to enter the building. However, while the girls were getting scolded by the security guards, one of them received a text confirming that Cuties made it to the finals of the dance competition they auditioned for. The security guards didn't believe that the girls were in a dance team because they lied and said that they were orphans earlier in the conversation. So, to prove this, Amy started twerking in front of the guards for several minutes while the girls cheered her on. One of the guards' facial expressions were very concerning to me because he looked like he was ogling Amy while she was twerking, who, keep in mind, is supposed to be 11. Not gonna lie, I wish I can burn this scene from my memory. As the film goes on, we see Amy act out more and more. She starts presenting hypersexually on social media and at school, and Amy acts in a highly sexual manner that becomes too much even for the other Cuties. In the meantime, her family has no idea that this is going on. Her family's main focus is preparing for the wedding of Amy's dad and his second wife. I'll be honest, I'm not too familiar with Islam, but from what I've researched, polygyny and polygamy are allowed in the Sunni and Shia sects of Islam, and men are allowed to have up to 4 wives. Now, Amy and her family are from Senegal, and the majority of the population in Senegal are part of the Sunni denomination of Islam. So while Miriam is visibly upset and learning to cope with her husband's second marriage throughout the film, technically, this is accepted in their religion. Again, I'm not super educated in Islam, so if I have shared any misinformation, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your perspective. Right after the scene with the security guards, there's a weird 2-minute music video of the Cuties dancing on some stairs. The cameraman is zooming in on their butts and their crotches while these girls are taking turns gyrating in front of the camera. It was kind of sickening to see how long the scene was, and it made it pretty clear to me, at least, how their intent was to exploit these young girls. The movie just gets progressively even worse from here, and in my mind, I have a top 3 of what scenes I think are the most disturbing, and I'm about to describe 2 of them to you because they happen back to back. There's a scene a little later in the film where Amy gets into a fight with one of the girls in the Sweetie Swags, which is a rival dance team to the Cuties. Sometime throughout the fight, Amy got pantsed and she was only wearing her underwear from the waist down. And there was one point where that was all that was on the screen, just her butt and her underwear. Disgusting, I must say. And the cameraman made sure to zoom in on her butt and her underwear. To be honest, this scene and the next scene I'm about to describe to you made the movie even more unbearable to watch. If I wasn't making a review of Cuties for my channel, I would have stopped the movie right here because I was just so horrified with what I was seeing. I probably should have mentioned this at the beginning of the video, but Amy's cousin Samba is staying with Amy's family so he can attend her father's wedding. While Samba was moving into the family's apartment, Amy stole Samba's phone from the front seat of his car, and this is how she's able to post on social media throughout the film. But one day, Samba caught Amy on his phone and realized that she was the one who stole it from him. When Samba was questioning Amy, she unzipped her hoodie to reveal she was wearing an off-the-shoulder crop top. But after that, she began unzipping her pants, I guess to seduce him or distract him. I was very concerned and kind of panicking at this point. It looked like for a second he was gonna go in for it, but then he just pushed her against the door that was behind her and they started wrestling for his phone. Eventually, Amy grabbed the phone from Samba and ran and hid in the bathroom. But while she was in the bathroom, she pulled down her pants and her underwear to take a nude photo of her genitalia. And she posted this on Instagram. I understand this scene was supposed to show how conditioned Amy was to be hypersexual on social media and how far she was gone into peer pressure, but shame on the production team for including this scene because it was highly inappropriate and unnecessary. Obviously, they didn't actually show anything because then it would actually be considered child. Watching an 11-year-old girl take a nude photo of herself was highly inappropriate and disgusting to watch. This is what really crossed the line for me. I mean, of course I was highly disgusted up until this point, but this was way out of pocket to show. Shame on the production team for including this. After this, Amy's nude was spread around her school and she got in a lot of trouble, which led to her family finding out about what she's been up to. None of them were happy. To skip ahead a little bit, we made it to the day of Amy's dad's wedding and the dance competition. Amy skips out on her father's wedding to perform with the Cuties in the competition. She gets ready, she pushed her girl into a river so she can take her spot, and now it's time for the performance. No exaggeration, this was awful. This performance was worse and more hypersexual than every other dance scene in the movie combined. The girls twerked and gyrated and rolled around the floor for several minutes. I'll put a blurred clip of part of the dance here, but obviously I'm not going to post the uncensored version because I don't want child on my channel. This last dance routine, no exaggeration, is something you'd see at a strip club. And this isn't shade to strippers or anything because obviously they're adults consensually performing sexy routines and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you see children performing that exact same style of routine, there's something wrong with that. Outright, it's just exploitative and inappropriate. Obviously, due to the highly sexual nature of this movie featuring children, there was a lot of backlash on social media. The hashtag cancel Netflix was trending on Twitter last week, with a lot of people stating that they will be boycotting Netflix and canceling their subscriptions. A lot of people online were concerned about the fact that Cuties came out on Netflix around the time that Save the Children was prominent in social media. According to USA Today, there are quite a few people in Congress who want this film taken off of Netflix and they want the production team and Netflix to be investigated for child pornography. The article also stated, the streaming platform saw a meaningful spike in churn rate according to Antenna, a data analytics company that provides information on subscription metrics and purchase behavior. Churn measures the number of subscribers who cancel pay services such as HBO and Netflix for any reason. Netflix would need to replace them with the new customers to maintain current levels. In a tweet Thursday, Antenna noted Netflix was losing 5 times as many subscribers in the 5 days following the film's release than it had in the previous 30 days. On Tuesday, Yipit Data, another analytics company, reported that Netflix's churn in the US rose materially this weekend as a result of the Cuties backlash, in a statement provided by the company spokesperson Travis Wittenberg. The statement said Netflix's churn rate began to increase on September 10th as the cancel Netflix hashtag trended on social media. Yipit Data says by Saturday, disconnects were running at nearly 8 times the daily levels observed in August and reached a multi-year high. Not a good look for Netflix, I will say. However, on September 9th, the Netflix Film Club YouTube channel posted an interview with Maimouna Doucouré, who is the director of the film, and she explained why she made Cuties.
I was powerless when I was a child. Today, I can use my voice, my art, to share my vision of femininity.
Okay, that's great and all, but does your vision of femininity have to include 11-year-old girls twerking on camera? Like, there was no other way to get your message across without being too literal? For example, if a director wanted to make a movie to bring awareness to drunk driving, is he actually going to make the actor get intoxicated and drive and kill someone to prove how drunk driving is bad? No, he's going to find a different and safe way to portray that message, and Maimouna Ducouré should have done the same thing without exploiting young girls. She literally participated in the culture she was condemning. I mentioned this in my first video on Cuties, but I do agree with the director in that child exploitation is swept under the rug most of the time, and it is not an issue that is talked about enough. I do agree with her and see her point in that sense. But while bringing awareness to this topic, the director hurt people in the process. Specifically, she hurt children in the process. These girls are young now, so they might not understand the implications of their actions, but when they're older, they're gonna realize that they were objectified and exploited for someone else's personal gain. And I can only imagine mentally what they're gonna be going through. That's the part that really f***ed me up about this whole movie. Like, she could have put this message across without actually hurting people in the process. One thing I was very relieved to see online was how many people were speaking out against Cuties. A couple commentary YouTubers I watch, Ready to Glare and D'Angelo Wallace, made really good videos tearing apart Cuties, and I will leave a link to both of them down below. I mean, they don't need my shout out, they're so much bigger than I am, but I really respect them as content creators, and I think you should check them both out if you haven't already. For the most part, Cuties receive scathing reviews from other YouTubers. However, one YouTuber's response I came across was rather incriminating. His review is called Cuties, an uncomfortably honest review. And at the time of filming this video is sitting at 68,000 dislikes. So it's safe to say it wasn't well received.
Hi, Cuties. Guess what I just watched? This film does try to make you sexually aroused by 11-year-olds. And I'll say it's not bad at it. It's not a total failure in that regard, at least for me.
Did he just... So he's blatantly admitting that he got turned on by this movie. Does the FBI have a Dropbox or something? Because I think we all need to send this over to them immediately.
I want to say that if you are concerned about people treating this as child pornography, there are probably thousands of people masturbating to this film as we speak. And then you'll see them shaking their booties on this stairway as they make this this viral video, and they're pretty hot. And you know, you can say whatever you want about me. It's not my fault. I didn't make them do that. They did that.
No. He's saying it's their fault that he thinks the dancing is hot. But who is they? The production team of Cuties, the dancers themselves, the young 11-year-old dancers themselves. You are responsible for your own thoughts and feelings. And the fact that he got turned on by a group of 11-year-olds twerking is his own fault, not anyone else's. And he shouldn't be pinning the blame on someone else. Sure, this movie should have never been made, or if the director wanted to talk about this topic, this was a very inappropriate way to do it, but don't pin your feeling thoughts on anyone else except yourself. That's your issue you need to sort out. Come to think of it, I would hate to see what's on this guy's hard drive. Lord only knows at this point. And that's all I'm gonna show you because I don't want to give this guy any more free clout than I already have. But a lot of people in the comments section were calling for YouTube to take this video down, but it's only been age restricted, so it's nice to see that this guy is receiving consequences for saying that a group of 11-year-olds twerking is hot. Good call, YouTube. I really see you're putting your foot down there. Oh, and look at that. One of the suggested videos on the side is a video about Shane Dawson. How appropriate. But another YouTuber named Diesel Patches made a more in-depth video tearing this guy's review apart, so if you'd like to see that, I'll leave the link in the description. I probably would have done that too, but I didn't want this video to be 10 hours long. But I thought I'd mention it to show that there are people defending Cuties, unfortunately, and people are disgusting. but we knew that already. But what do you guys think of Cuties based on what you've seen online, or if you watched the film as well? And if you've watched it too, I'm so sorry. We can recover together. I'm really interested in what y'all have to say about the movie, so please leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Also, I want to apologize for the fact that this video took a lot longer than I wanted it to. Like I mentioned at the beginning, my semester started about a week and a half ago, so bigger videos like this might take me a little longer to film and edit and plan out stuff like that. However, I will do my best to keep up with weekly or semi-weekly uploads, and I promise next week's video is going to be a lot lighter than today's. But if you enjoyed this movie review, please let me know what other films, good or bad, you'd like to see me review in the future. If you like this video, make sure to give me a big thumbs up and subscribe down below. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time with the brand new video. I love you. Bye. Woo!